Ready to grapple with some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Let's do it.
We're diving deep into the world of BJJ.
Yeah.
And really going to break down everything Oldskull.
Sounds good.
This academy's been on your radar.
Right.
And we're going to unpack why.
Awesome.
From BJJ basics to their unique training style.
Yeah.
And even what their gym culture is all about.
Okay.
Consider this your one-stop shop.
Cool.
For deciding if Oldskull's the right fit.
I like it.
What exactly is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
So it's more than just grappling. It's about strategy. It's about leverage.
Okay.
And really using technique to kind of like outsmart strength.
Interesting. Okay.
Think submissions, joint locks, jokes. It's about controlling your opponent until they tap out.
So less of a bar fight, more like a
Totally.
a thinking person's game of chess, but physical.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay.
It's often called like the gentle art.
Really?
Yeah, because it allows smaller people to control and, defeat larger opponents.
Okay.
So it's definitely a game of, strategy and skill as much as like
Makes sense.
physicality.
Which is something, I've seen a lot about, that it's actually a really effective form of self-defense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It is.
Tons of gyms out there.
So many.
But they've all got their own style, it seems.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
What makes Oldskull different from, like, all the rest?
I think it's their approach.
Love it.
Oldskull really wants to create like self-learning dynamic problem solvers, not just, people who know a bunch of moves.
Got it.
So they use this thing called a constraint-led approach and ecological dynamics, which just means like you learn by doing.
So less classroom.
Exactly.
More like hands-on experience.
Yes, exactly. More movement, more like game-based scenarios.
Okay, help me visualize this.
Okay.
What does that actually look like in a class?
Imagine, like, instead of drilling the same armbar over and over, you're thrown into this game that makes you feel how an armbar works.
Interesting.
It's about understanding the why, not just the how.
So less memorizing steps, more like,
Totally.
learning to dance.
Exactly. Responding to your partner, improvising, adapting on the fly.
So it's like you learn the underlying principle of like leverage and timing.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of apply it however you need to.
Exactly. Yes. It's about developing your own game, not just like copying someone else's.
Right.
Oldskull calls these like conceptual models.
Okay, cool.
And the more you understand the underlying structure of jiu-jitsu, the more creative you could be. That's what Oldskull's going for.
Grapplers who can think for themselves.
Yes. Not just mimicking techniques, but creating their own solutions on the mat.
Love it. It's giving you that internal compass.
Instead of a set of directions to follow blindly.
Now, one thing I found interesting about Oldskull was their perspective on drilling. They're not big on static drilling, are they?
Not really, no. They prefer a more dynamic, game-based approach.
Makes sense.
They argue that static drilling, while helpful, doesn't always translate to the fluidity of a real match.
It's like learning basketball by only shooting free throws.
Perfect analogy. You might be great at free throws, but that doesn't mean you can handle a real game.
Right. So Oldskull wants you to develop adaptability.
Exactly. Those games force you to think on your feet, react to your opponent.
You're problem solving, just like you would in a real match.
Exactly. And what's even more interesting is they extend this playful, game-based approach to other things besides just technique.
Okay.
It's not just about like memorizing a move. It's about understanding why it works.
Okay.
They focus on those conceptual models that we talked about.
Right.
Leverage, frames, timing.
So it's like they give you the tools to kind of solve the puzzle yourself, not just tell you the answer.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So like instead of just teaching you how to do a triangle choke, they teach you why a triangle choke works.
Interesting.
So you can, adapt, change it up.
I got it.
Use it in different situations.
It's about like building that foundation.
Yes.
And I'm seeing that reflected in their curriculum too.
How so?
A lot of games, from what I can tell.
Oh, absolutely.
And not just for fun, although I'm sure it is.
Oh, for sure.
But they're designed to really drill these skills, these concepts.
Exactly. Yeah.
So smart. Gamifying jiu-jitsu to make you a more strategic grappler. I love it.
Exactly. They're not ditching technique altogether, but they want you to understand those underlying principles.
Right. So you can adapt those techniques to any situation. Give me an example. What's like a game that you might see in an Oldskull class?
You might have a guard retention game.
Okay.
So it forces you to think about, like, using your frames, using your legs effectively, but under pressure, right?
Right. So it's not just static, it's live dynamics.
Like learning through play, almost.
Way more engaging than just,
Oh, absolutely.
Go through the motions.
Yeah. Way more fun, too. And it seems like that playful attitude, that's like baked into their philosophy.
Got it.
They want you to experiment. They want you to make mistakes, learn from them.
Which is, that's got to be part of the process, right?
100%. Yeah.
Especially as a beginner, I would think.
For sure.
Like, no shame in tapping.
Oh, absolutely not. Tapping is your friend.
Right.
That's how you stay safe.
Right, exactly.
Keep
training another day. Exactly.
Oldskull seems to really get that.
They do, yeah.
They seem to emphasize, creating a really supportive environment, discouraging egos and intimidation.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Which is cool.
They really emphasize that team atmosphere, that community vibe.
Well, that's where their whole fight for fun philosophy comes in.
Fight for fun.
Yeah.
When it comes to this whole, positive training environment. Okay, but tell me this.
Yeah.
What about competition?
Right.
Because some gyms seem like all about it. Some, not so much.
Right.
Where does Oldskull stand?
So they seem to have like a balanced approach.
Okay.
They definitely offer support for those who want to compete.
Got it.
But they're very clear that it's not like the only path,
Yeah.
They value the learning process.
Right.
Personal growth.
It's about the journey.
Above all else, exactly.
Which, honestly, that's like what drew me to BJJ in the first place.
Totally.
Is that like challenging yourself, the growth?
Yeah.
Having fun with it.
Right.
Not just about, winning trophies.
It seems like Oldskull really gets that too. They really seem to emphasize, that personal development, that resilience.
Right.
Using BJJ as a tool to like develop valuable life skills.
Like they're saying, come here, we'll learn together, grow together.
Exactly.
On and off the mat.
100%, yeah. And they really, they back it up with their actions.
Right.
Like, remember that whole thing about their hygiene guidelines?
Oh, yeah.
That's a perfect example.
It's true.
They're committed to, a positive and healthy training environment. It shows they care about their students.
Right. Beyond just the techniques and stuff. Beyond just the moves.
There's something else that stood out to me in their materials about challenging traditional martial arts hierarchies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
So they're not about the whole bowing to the instructor thing.
Right.
No titles like master or sensei. You don't line up by rank. Okay. It's about...
It's like the opposite of what you think of.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
When you think of
it breaks the whole...
a martial arts gym. For sure. And it goes back to that whole self-learning thing.
Right.
They want you to think for yourself.
Okay.
Not just follow blindly.
That's cool.
And they even encourage you to cross-train in other martial arts.
Oh, wow.
So you can broaden your horizon.
That's
see different perspectives.
So we've done a deep dive here on Oldskull.
For sure.
From the approach to their culture, their vibe.
Totally.
What's the final verdict?
Honestly, it sounds like a really cool place.
Yeah.
You can go there not just to, learn how to grapple, but to actually grow as a person, become a better version of yourself.
Exactly. They've created this really unique environment where they emphasize, learning, respect, personal development, and of course, having fun along the way.
And I think the fun part's important too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Got to enjoy the process.
It sounds like they're serious about building that positive, supportive community.
100%. That's so important.
Where everyone feels comfortable and empowered to, learn and grow at their own pace.
Exactly.
Well, there you have it.
Awesome.
That's your deep dive into BJJ and Oldskull.